have risen from the ashes to school the masses. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Scholars of Wrestling, the show where we're not afraid to say when the product is doing really well or when the product really sucks the big one. And when it comes to this week, gentlemen, I think we can all agree that this week definitely sucked a big one.
In my personal life and on TV. Yes, it did.
I literally lost sleep about the way this whole week in wrestling went. Well, other factors were involved, but still, I did not sleep well after this week's Raw.
I wouldn't say that. It was just what I believed to be true. Everything, all the goodwill that the WWE built up, SummerSlam the night after, the week before, all gone in one fell swoop.
All thanks to one man.
1 3-hour Raw. It's all gone. All of it.
Wow,
really, I
would go
agree.
that far.
I kind of agree with him.
The only thing that is still on par is anything that has to do with the Shield. Everything else, gone.
Well, I'm sure we'll break that down when we get to each individual segment, or at least the big ones.
Exactly. But first, let's peek behind the curtain and little backstage news, which we only have
little.
We have only one real news to talk about this week. It's the report of Ryback being injured. He's going to be out for a while. What exactly is it that is wrong with him? What injury did he sustain that he's been fighting with for the past few weeks?
That I'm going to have to check my facts. All I knew is I just got a message this morning that Ryback was injured.
And wasn't there like a picture of him like in the hospital?
It was actually a video.
Yes.
A video.
It was a YouTube video, a damn funny YouTube video actually.
Well, Ryback, when he's not in character, we all know is a pretty funny guy.
He is a very funny guy, and even since his debut, I've been a fan of Ryback. He hasn't really done anything to make me think otherwise, other than not really caring on the fact that he almost missed that spot with CM Punk putting him through the table a while back. And really, that's it. Other than that, he's been a favorite of mine. I wish he could do something more with Ryback-Soul. Actually, there's nothing really more you can do with Ryback-Soul. I just wish that he'd do something more with him as a singles competitor. But now with him out for a while, I feel bad for Curtis Axel because we all know what that means.
Well, let's face it, all right? Curtis Axel, we've said it before, we'll say it again. White bread.
At least he has been for a while now. I've noticed that when he actually gets a chance to speak, the limited times he does have it, I'm sort of convinced that Ryback has sort of encouraged him to come out of his shell a little bit more and develop his own personality.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because whenever he speaks, my mind automatically goes back to that NXT god-awful promo. And I'm like, oh, here we go. And then he starts talking and I'm like, you know what? This isn't actually that bad. It's not good by any means, but it's serviceable. And for a guy who's basically nothing at this point, because his tag team partner's out, and I don't see him getting anywhere near a title.
Not at all.
At this point in time.
Not Curtis
in a
Axel.
title race, what's he going to do? Put it with Heath Slater, baby. Slater's going to slate.
Well, since looks like they're hinting of dropping the whole Slater-Gator tag team.
I hope they don't. These guys are starting to amuse me now.
Heath Slater is always amusing.
From what it looks like this past week, looked like they're on the verge of breaking up. Well, otherwise, have they been doing that? I rarely watch a Titus O'Neil, Heath Slater tag team match. Are they always at ends with each other?
Pretty much, yeah. That's kind of their
So
gimmick.
That's their get. Okay. Then in that case, they probably will keep this going for a while.
At least as a
comedy
tag team division is going to be as stagnant as it is. If I'd say stick with them. If the WWE just invests their time and their efforts into what they're calling Slater Gator, which I love, then just do it. We need more decent tag teams. We just can't have the straps on the Usos forever. We know that. So let them go. It can be fun. Oh, and for the record, according to the video, I'm just looking at a transcript right here. He's been wrestling for quote, I've been wrestling for about 7 months with a couple strained groins and 2 sports hernias. Whatever that is.
Hernias suck.
Yeah, they do.
So if he's wrestling through that, good for him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Talk about being a Terminator. Yeesh.
And really, the last
guy.
real thing I remember him being on wasn't it that show in Vegas, and he was getting popped like crazy.
Yeah, they were
during that 6-man tag match.
I remember that. Everyone was cheering for Ryback like crazy.
Ryback rules. Feed me more.
Oh man! And as soon as he made the hot tag, so good.
And he actually posted thanking Vegas for so much overness he was getting.
So much overness. Yeah.
Well, when he comes back, I hope he sticks as a singles competitor again. Maybe
he just keeps the big guy gimmick.
Keeps the big guy gimmick, but more as like a fun big guy.
Yeah, I think he's sort of at that place now. He just needs to stay with it. In case you haven't seen the video, I'm looking, got the transcript right in front of me. This one line, I love it. I do it for you guys, the WWE Universe, the kids, the grandparents, the fathers, the mothers, especially for the mothers. The mothers love the big guy. What can I say? Ryback, I love you, man. Get better soon. I really hope we see you again.
Put some of this comedy in your promos and your wrestling, dude. It'll probably get you over. Nothing else has.
I just don't think they gave him the creative freedom as much as we think he does. I think it's just once again creative, not giving him
nobody
character.
likes a bully.
Yeah, really. That's a funny. As far as the funny went, that's really the closest thing we got. Like nobody likes a bully.
Where he almost became a Heyman guy.
Which, but again, I know
he was a Heyman guy for like a month.
Was it official?
Actually, yeah, I think it was. And then it was just.
Because I remember,
Heyman was kissing him on the forehead and all that crap, and it got really weird.
I remember the Heyman proposal to be a Heyman guy, which got cut off by CM Punk before Ryback actually gave an official answer.
Ryback was a Heyman tag team for
quite a while,
like 2-3 months, and then Brock Lesnar came back.
They're just like, nope,
never mind.
Nope, done.
Pretty much, you can't be a successful Paul Heyman guy unless you're CM Punk or Brock Lesnar.
Or anyone but other than Curtis Axel.
Could be true.
It kind of is true, in my opinion.
All right. Ryback, get better soon, please.
I do have one other thing to add.
What's that?
In my research for what was up with Ryback this week, I actually found more information about a certain incident involving Ryback that we've joked about constantly off of this show. I'm talking, of course, about, you know what it is.
Is it the Rice Krispie treats?
You're damn right it is.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Apparently, in a recent interview, he elaborated on what exactly went into that. Like
the Al Snow explaining the Rice Krispie treat story.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Okay, we heard about the Rice Krispie treat story. What is there any truth to that, or is Al Snow just sort of embellishing to be funny? It's like, no, that more or less really happened. What happened is, yeah, it's true, I eat a lot, but then again, we were just going nonstop on the show, training like 12 hours a day. I was starving, and I eat a lot as it is. I don't normally eat a lot of sweets, rather, and the only thing they had around were a bunch of Rice Krispie treats. I went to go eat one. Bill DeMott looks at me. Ryan, if you eat that, I'm going to punch you in the face.
You're kidding, right? Oh, come on, Bill.
Yeah. He's like, you know what? I don't care. I'm just going to eat them anyway. I'm super hungry. So he eats them, and he gets punched in the face.
Cracker Barrel? I heard about those. They don't have any in Las Vegas. I can hardly wait.
Damn it, we love the big guy.
Please come back soon, Ryback.
Feed him more.
We'll miss you, and speedy recovery. All right.
Now let's talk about something that sucks.
We suck. Okay.
About something we suck, yes. Yeah. Tell me all about it, Brian.
You're the one who said it.
Freudian slip. I just watched, I'll tell you what, I just watched NXT and I just watched a Sasha Banks match. Leave me alone.
Okay, it's allowed. We'll move on now.
Let's keep going on before I go.
You remember last week when I said that our fool is becoming a man?
I think he's there. He just made an inadvertent dirty joke on
the fool is the man. Is a man now.
Oh,
he's a man.
I was going to say, please tell me you're implying that I made it with Sasha Banks. Okay, I need to stop. I need to stop.
Hey, control yourself.
Hey, you're the one who's getting me talking about Sasha Banks. I can only do so much. I'm only a mortal man.
As much as we're talking about this, I don't want to talk about Raw. This is actually so much fun, but we have no choice.
We're going to have to get talk about stuff anyway.
This horrible, horrible week in professional wrestling, in WWE mainly. Oh, what? Brian said it earlier. For them to take something that was awesome coming out from SummerSlam and the night after and completely pull a 360. Oh.
I wouldn't say it was a complete 360. I'd say it's more that we just ran into two major league speed bumps here. And I think everyone listening to this show or everyone who's been watching wrestling during this past week knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's just a matter of which one you want to talk about first.
I can be perfectly honest. Everything from this show was a speed bump. It's really hard to... I think we can really point out one real thing that came out of this Raw. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Let's talk about what happened at the beginning of the show. The first and probably last Hall of Fame panel with Hulk Hogan, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, and HBK Shawn Michaels talking about whether or not John Cena will walk out of Night of Champions, the WWE World Heavyweight Champion.
At the beginning of this segment, I was invested in it.
I concur.
Let's think about it. Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair, and Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan is obviously every time going to be like, Cena can have it. Cena's going to get it.
Now share the faces, brother.
Then when you bring in the other guys, Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair, talking about how much of a beast Brock Lesnar is, it's well balanced. But then, guess who showed up?
Even before that, even before Cena coming out, as much as they were HBK and Ric Flair was saying that Brock Lesnar was going to win, they were still praising the hell out of John Cena. It was like, there was one thing that Shawn Michaels said that made me laugh. And it was like, everybody loves John Cena. I just looked at him like, who told you to say that, Sean? It surely hell wasn't coming from your mind.
Everyone was cheering at SummerSlam when he got his ass beat.
Well, you know what, Shawn Michaels, to me, that there was that one comment was just loaded with snark. I was like, you know what? I see what you're doing here, Shawnee boy, and it's good.
I really hope so.
And all right. Did anyone else catch in maybe it's the only thing that stuck out to me, when Hulk Hogan was going into his whole spiel, it was almost like he was giving away the narrative, like in the wrong sense. Like, this is just a second match, brother. He can still come back. This is how it works. Blah blah blah.
Well, technically, this is the third match.
No, I'm talking about.
Oh, what Hulk said?
Occurred. Yeah, like he just that.
Which kind of makes me worried about the second match.
Exactly, it really makes it seem like Hulk Hogan just basically gave away the narrative structure, and that's
gonna come to a rubber match. He made it seem like it's gonna come to a rubber match.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like, wow. Like, did you really just call it that, Hulk?
I was like, man. What? Why would you? The way that Hulk Hogan made it seem is the narrative is gonna be John Cena wins at Night of Champions and they have a rubber match in the Hell in a Cell.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
I really hope not. Even though I do want to see Brock Lesnar beast out on John Cena in a Hell in a Cell. That would be death for John Cena. But in order to get there, I don't want another John Cena 1 month title reign. Get off my TV.
I don't think people like Triple H wants to see a 1 month like transitional champion title reign either. From what I've been reading, they want to have Brock Lesnar hold the title for a long time.
I hope,
hell, even possibly to WrestleMania, which I am all for.
I hope that that's true, and I hope that they stick to that plan. Because apparently John Cena is hurting very badly, and they're worried about John Cena. So giving him the title right now, bad move.
All right, as much as bad as it is, let's continue with what happened on Raw with what you guys are saying, or at least hinting to. Bum, 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 Cena coming out and saying, "Oh, I want you to look me in the eye. I'm not just going to beat Brock Lesnar. I'm going to beat his ass."
I do like
Compelling.
that he tried to be serious. Okay, but with stupid lines like that, it's kind of hard.
I was like, that's the same thing.
I do.
Duh.
I like that he tried to be serious, but the words that he was actually saying just made me laugh, and it took me out of the promo. So good job trying to cut a serious promo, but the actual promo that you cut brings the segment way down
and brings little giggles out of us. Like, we can't take you seriously.
Even though I want to, but no.
The words, man. Use your words.
You can do it before. Just no.
No,
I'm not just gonna beat you. I'm gonna beat your ass. Okay, you just said that.
I'm just not gonna bop you one. I'm gonna win the match.
Ooh.
And so that segment happened, and they were building the main event with John Cena versus Bray Wyatt. We'll get to that match later tonight.
Oh, yes, we will.
Yes, we will. But
so you guys liked it, huh?
We'll get to how we really felt about it later. But let's talk about the
other thing
Let's talk about the other major storylines that came out of this quote Raw.
Let me do it again. Oh!
The big one that came out was Jerry the King Lawler having a sit-down interview with the Bella Twins. The only thing that actually got a chuckle out of me was when they both came out and Nikki pointed out, it's like, God, you can't even have your own theme music? God. I was just like, I was thinking the same thing. Nice for them to point out the stupidity.
Yeah, that was it. That was actually pretty good, and that was pretty much it for the segment. I mean, Brie Bella is supposed to be like this overcoming babyface, right? But the way she's been booked the last month, first of all, we don't have to say again that the acting is horrible, because there it is.
The Bellas are horrible.
But if you're going to book it this way, all right, Brie Bella has to do something to get back at Nikki very soon. Not that I'm going to care, but the way they're looking, no one's going to care that Nikki Bella is beating the crap out of Brie Bella every single week, saying nasty things to Brie Bella every single week, if all she's going to do is cry and take it.
My initial response after this segment ended was just looking at Brie Bella in the ring, and then all of a sudden, let's see, what was the band? The band in South Park coming around her. It's like, oh, look at the little crybaby. Oh, you can cry, crybaby. You just you can't be a little crybaby about it. It was just painful to watch.
Oh, The Cure.
The Cure, thank you.
Robert Smith, yes.
It was just so bad, and just it's like, I wish you were died in the womb.
Yeah, really.
That was my response.
Honestly, I if I was in the arena, I would have just gotten up and made sure I stayed out of my seat for the entire thing. I even got up while I was watching Raw this week, just because I just wanted to protest so badly. It was just this was painful.
I wish I was there just to start multiple chants like boring, or change the channel.
I feel bad for the fans in attendance.
Yeah,
Serious.
They picked a bad Raw to go to.
I can't say anything else other than just the Bella Twins. I thought reality TV stars had better acting experience than these two.
Yeah, it's basically,
and they're sort of reality TV stars, and they're just the worst ever.
It's more of the same. It sucked before, and it sucks now.
It just keeps getting worse and worse. Just how uninteresting this storyline is, and how much they're sucking the energy out of it. Really, the only saving grace from this whole thing was Stephanie, and she wasn't even here this week. Not really, Triple H wasn't here. The only Authority members that were here were Seth Rollins and Kane, and possibly the only good thing to really come out of this Raw was the Dean Ambrose eulogy, which led to a good promo from Seth Rollins, kind of repeating what he said in the past, but he really made it work in this, and out comes Roman Reigns attacking, which led to a handicap match, which led to a disqualification, which led to Roman Reigns still coming out on top. What did you guys think about this?
Well, I think it was fine.
Yeah, I liked it.
Again, I've got other thoughts, but we'll address that at the end.
Seth Rollins cuts a really good eulogy promo. I like that the way that they brought Roman Reigns into it was like, I created the Shield, I destroyed the Shield, except he forgot about somebody, and here comes Roman Reigns down to the ring to avenge his buddy Dean Ambrose, and just takes out Kane, takes out Seth Rollins, and here we go for a match. I like the idea of either Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins at Night of Champions, or a tag team match with, like, say it's Seth Rollins and Kane versus Roman Reigns and a, air quotes, mystery partner, and that's how Dean Ambrose comes back.
Yeah,
I like the setup. I like the setup to begin the feud to possibly go into either one of these matches. I liked it. It was basically the only thing I sat through Raw for, and as soon as it was over, I was like, okay, the rest is eh.
Oh, I liked the eulogy part too. That was great. I love that part of this storyline, and I like that Roman Reigns came out because they're continuing the Shield feud. The only real problem I had with this is the match itself, because actually what I read is they actually are planning on having a Roman Reigns Dean Ambrose match versus Seth Rollins and Kane at Night of Champions.
That would be
I'd
great.
like to see that. Yep.
The only problem is what happened this past night on Raw, past Monday on Raw. It looked like Roman Reigns doesn't need Dean Ambrose because he was able to take out Kane and Rollins so easily. Yeah, they had him beat down, but they pulled the whole John Cena Superman overpowering thing, and it made Roman Reigns look strong. We're to a point where he doesn't need Dean Ambrose. That's the only real problem I had with this.
I think that's also not the really real point. At least that's not what I saw. What I see them doing here is not necessarily what Dean Ambrose needs. I think we've seen how, just the way that the feud has been going between Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins, the point of the feud is not, can Dean Ambrose beat Seth Rollins the way that so many other feuds. Dean Ambrose is not an underdog. Dean Ambrose, the whole key with him seems to be that for whatever reason, the Authority or someone is always interfering in his matches, and for whatever reason he just can't, he's physically stopped from sealing the deal, even though that everyone knows, it's very obvious that he can beat Seth Rollins. He can beat any member of the Authority on any given night. What's key here is, if that's what they end up doing, now with Roman Reigns finally having his back, this could be the time when they actually seal the deal, they actually do end up getting a win over the Authority.
The odds are now even.
It seemed like it was even just with Roman Reigns by himself, how they were building it this past Monday. I agree. I would love to have it be like, I don't see Dean Ambrose as the underdog too. He's capable of winning, but the Authority is preventing him from winning. They can't seem to get the same thing from Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns keeps getting the what's the right word for it? Keeps getting above them, keeps overcoming them. I feel like, if anything, they could have saved like this kind of match for like the next week and just had the eulogy part because
the eulogy part and maybe the attack, and then just leave.
And that's it. And yeah, exactly. Just that whole thing and leave it for the next night. It's like, don't worry, we'll take care of Roman Reigns. I'll put him in a handicap match like next week, or have him continuously save it for 2 weeks and have like another Seth Rollins versus somebody, and after the Seth Rollins match, Roman Reigns comes in. Sort of do what they've been doing with him and Dean Ambrose, because that's really what they're doing with Roman Reigns right now. Now, Roman Reigns is filling in the Dean Ambrose spot until he comes back from filming that movie.
My thought process on if the tag match goes down, okay, is Roman Reigns is there to take care of Kane. Don't worry about Seth Rollins. If Dean Ambrose is in this tag match, Roman Reigns' job is to just take care of Kane. Dean Ambrose will seal the deal against Seth Rollins, and then we can move on to the Hell in a Cell, finish it.
Exactly.
But
I would love to see that. That would be perfect.
So, was it the best way to open a feud with that match? No, it wasn't. But I like where they're going. Mm-hmm. I like where it's going to end up. And I liked the eulogy. So I'm going to give that pretty much the only thing that doesn't involve wrestling the matches itself. That's the only storyline I'm giving a passing grade tonight.
Same here.
Week.
I guess the only way I looked at this is it's kind of a good story for both Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns, because if you look at Dean Ambrose, he's still on this rivalry with Seth Rollins, and with Roman Reigns being there, he finally gets his hands on Seth Rollins and finally gets a good win, which will happen at Night of Champions. But then also looking at it from Roman Reigns' point of view, he's slowly climbing the ladder up to the Authority, where he'll finally get to Triple H. He beat Kane already. He beat Randy Orton. Now he'll just have to go through Seth Rollins, which only this tag team match will happen. That will be his only shot. And then he'll get to Triple H, which will probably be soon.
Yeah, down the road. But again, like you mentioned, the key word in all of this is slowly. And as long as they're not enacting on everyone's fears at the moment, where everyone thought that, he's groomed for the next top spot, he's just going to strap a rocket to him and then push him to the moon, put the strap on him, and then woohoo, Roman Reigns wins everything. Lol. At
least this is like a logical build-up.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You're going through all of the members of the Authority, and if the rumors are true, your last obstacle is the Beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar. So if you can go through Randy Orton, Kane, Seth Rollins, Triple H at some point, okay, you have earned your right to go up against Brock Lesnar, and we'll see how it goes from there.
And you know what? As long as they're building him slowly, of course, coming off of the Shield, Roman Reigns had to be near the main event. Now that I'm treating this entire feud as sort of comfort that my fears are not necessarily going to come to pass. He's not going to be a World Heavyweight Champion overnight. He's not going to be pushed to infinity and beyond right out of the gate. Roman Reigns, and I think that, I don't want to say the Authority, but the powers that be in the WWE, outside of the cameras, I think they're keen enough that they seem to be aware that you can't do that to Roman Reigns that fast, otherwise it's just going to blow up in your face. And I think it already started to, until they put the kibosh on the mega push, or at least they're not pushing him as, Barry Allen speed like they seem to be doing at first. Mm-hmm. The way things are going right now, and the way that Roman seems to be focusing up.
I agree.
He's getting sharper every single week, and it seems to me that the rest of the powers that be in WWE are starting to realize how you need to book him in order for him to be successful. I know I basically did a total 180 from a couple weeks ago, but I am perfectly comfortable with Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is in a good spot right now, especially compared to the rest of the stuff that happened on this Raw. Believe in the Shield, I guess.
Well, yeah, since they're the most interesting characters in WWE.
Believe in the Shield, believe in Kane. They're doing good with their stuff right now.
They are.
This was fine. It had its flaws, but you know what in wrestling doesn't. Again, the exceptions will prove the rule.
What on a Monday Night Raw doesn't have its flaws?
You're gonna.
I'll tell you what, a Brock Lesnar video package. That thing was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
A lot of them has been really good.
Anything that has to do with Brock Lesnar has just been fantastic. That's all that can be said, really.
Yeah,
it was a great video package. Yay, Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, yet another thing that they knew what they had in Brock Lesnar. They knew how to use him. This was fine. Putting a live mic in front of him, not the wisest idea. That's what you have Paul Heyman for. But if you do something pre-recorded, like a pre-recorded interview segment or a little light live promo work, nothing too heavy, Brock can handle that just fine. This was very, very good. I enjoyed it. No complaints here.
And now let's quickly, before we get into the main event, let's quickly talk about the championship matches build up for Night of Champions. For one, Cesaro winning the number one contenders match for the United States Championship. The continuation between Dolph Ziggler and The Miz for the IC title rematch that will happen with Mizdow.
That I didn't mind. I know you don't like it, but considering what we could have gotten, Mizdow is at least amusing.
I had fun with it. I've given up on Sandow being a serious character for at least the
future.
For the foreseeable future, medium term, I've come to terms with him being this character, and I can look at this and have fun with it.
Well, I think this is gonna be it with Sandow. I don't think he's gonna be the Miz's stunt double anymore.
Oh yeah, that
was just a one-turn
anymore,
deal. They're just trying to find something to keep this feud going with Dolph Ziggler and The Miz. It's really nothing. I really hate to say it because I like both stars, but they got nothing to go with.
It was fine, but if this is the best you can do in a build-up for an Intercontinental title match, yeah.
I could just say, switch Cesaro and Sheamus with Miz and Dolph Ziggler, switch the titles, then everything will be right, because for the United States Championship, it's not really anything going on. Now, when you have the Intercontinental Championship with Sheamus and Cesaro, two big guys that are definitely future stars, future main eventers. Well, Sheamus is a main eventer, but he's still relatively young, but he's a future main event star. I think that actually would have benefited the IC title more in that feud. But that's just me. I think you guys can agree on that.
Agree with what? The way you think about the IC title, or the way they could have handled it?
The way they could have just, if anything, switched the United States title with the Intercontinental title with their feuds. Sheamus and Cesaro, even though they had done very little, they are still having a more interesting storyline than Dolph Ziggler and The Miz.
It was a good thought at the beginning for Miz and Ziggler, because they've always had great matches, and that's what you're looking for in an Intercontinental title feud. Great matches. However, they didn't really think about the build-up. The build-up was okay going into SummerSlam. Wasn't great. It was serviceable. Okay, but they're running out of ideas, and Mizdow was fun for what it was. But if this is how you're building up to a Night of Champions rematch, it's kind of low on the totem pole of me caring right now.
I think you really nailed something right there. When you said they're running out of ideas, I'm sort of convinced at this point that they really are running out of ideas, because when they do, I've noticed that they do the worst thing you can do to the Intercontinental title. You treat it as just a MacGuffin as opposed to the actual prize, the actual standard, the actual title, which is, I think, what I can see you getting so pissed about. The focus seems to have taken away from the actual title itself and the prestige of it, as opposed to this is just a reason for me to fight you, Miz, or Dolph
Exactly.
Ziggler, or whatever.
That's why I feel like this feud is more United States Championship material.
It really doesn't matter which belt. I know you love the Intercontinental title belt, and you have every right to. It's got prestige out the wing-wong, but
if you look at what they're doing with Cesaro and Sheamus, though, Cesaro keeps taking the title from Sheamus and keeps throwing it back at him. It's like, this will be mine. This will be mine, bitch.
Okay, now you put it that way. The way you phrased it before, I thought you were saying, "Oh, the U.S. title sucks. Just treat it like that instead."
I could see the United States title as more as the prop in the feud, them fighting for it, two egos fighting for it.
I thought you were saying that's the way it should be, as opposed to.
Oh, that's what Cesaro and Sheamus are doing. That's what it should be. It's for the title plus their egos.
Yeah, I know. I thought
when it comes to Miz and Ziggler,
the United States title should be that way, as opposed to just the Intercontinental title being what it is. I'm probably describing this horribly.
Like the real difference. I see where you're coming from.
Basically, what I think he's trying to say is that treat the United States title the way
as the MacGuffin
that they're treating the Intercontinental title. Treat it like, in your mind, treat it like crap.
Exactly.
That one be used more as the prop, where in Cesaro and Sheamus's case, this is actually for the title. They're fighting for the title with their egos with it. And do you see Sheamus and Cesaro? Like, you see Sheamus and Cesaro being future World Heavyweight Champions. Do you see Dolph Ziggler and The Miz being future World Champions?
They have been.
Yeah, they have been, but they were using the title. They had the World Heavyweight title. That was supposed to be the second-tier title, like what the Intercontinental Championship is.
But this is also... I think we're getting to something here. If we're talking about one title or the other being just like a throwaway MacGuffin... Neither of these titles should be that way.
Oh, I agree.
Right. What we're seeing here... Well, let me just finish this thought. What we're seeing here is, and I think I was alluding to this before, what we see when this happens is a result of the booking team not really knowing what else to do. They just use that as an excuse to have a feud, and they just want to put guy A with guy B for just this canned reason. It's not even an actual point of prestige as much as it should be. It's just that's all it is, just a canned reason. And no title should have to be that way.
Oh, I agree. You
shouldn't have to choose one or the other. I know you're going to choose the Intercontinental every time. I know you got a damn good reason for it, as I've said. But the point is, I think we've gotten on some level so used to this idea where there has to be at least one throwaway quote-unquote prop title with little to no prestige and just used as a device to push the plot.
A title, no matter what, should be treated like a title.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Jinx.
The whole point that I've been trying to say is what Sheamus and Cesaro are doing is right. What The Miz and Ziggler are doing, wrong. Because they're focusing more on the feud than they are on the title. Miz already had his rematch clause. He shouldn't even be in this anymore. They should have a new person going after the Intercontinental title. And I'm really saying switch the titles because really, with Sheamus and Cesaro, you see them as future world champions. And having the Intercontinental title as the stepping stone works in their favor than having it just for the United States Championship, which... really, it's just a title that's there. The Intercontinental title not only has more prestige, but actually has more meaning than the United States Championship. The United States Championship is just there.
And you know what? That's exactly what I'm talking about. Fanboyism or not, the fact that you feel that way just shows me that there's something horribly, horribly wrong here. There should not be just one decent title and one crappy title. Just the fact that this is the way that things are now and the way it's commonly seen, that's outrageous. That should not be. Either do something with the United States title or merge it with the IC title and just get rid of it. It's pointless now.
At this point, with the Miz and Ziggler's feud being so uninteresting, and I love Cesaro and Sheamus' feud, but maybe have like a fatal 4-way to have one unified champion.
I've got a better idea.
At this point, I don't care anymore.
I care because I've got an idea on how we do it.
What is that? Before we move,
Story time with the Scarlet Jeff.
It's not much of a story time. It's just an idea.
Just an idea,
okay.
And then we'll.
You know
on.
how much? I think you guys at least have an idea of about how much I like my tournaments.
Yeah.
Have a tournament for the Intercontinental title. Have a tournament for the U.S. title, and the grand finals of the tournament will be a unification match between the winners of both sides of the tournament.
I go for it.
I would go for it. I'll tell you. I tell you who wouldn't go for it.
Vince McMahon.
Vince McMahon and Triple H.
Even though I do think Triple H would love that idea.
I would love that. It would be glorious. Have it like that one Survivor Series. Just have like a rando pay-per-view.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah,
I
I agree.
that pay-per-view.
I agree.
I never hear anyone talk about it. I gotta look up that pay-per-view on the network later. That was great.
They're the games.
All right, and now let's move on to the other two titles. The tag team titles, turning dashingly gold heel. When the Divas title, continuation with AJ Paige doing frenemy, possibly more.
I've got one
and
word.
with Natalya on the side.
I've got one word about this Divas feud. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Hot. And it's gonna be good.
I think they're just hinting at a triple threat match.
Which wouldn't upset anyone.
With the women who were in it? Yeah.
You know what? There's a lot of things I could say about the way this feud is going. For the sake of brevity and maintaining my innocence, all I'm going to say...
You lost that already, fool.
Shh. Blame Sasha, not me. In all seriousness here,
okay.
The one way I can see this feud actually being really interesting is if they do end up going forward with the Triple Threat Divas title match, which at this point I'm not convinced that they will, but if they do, what do you think the reaction will be if everyone's so focused on Paige and AJ? What if Natalya actually wins it?
I'll be for it.
And I would love it.
I would love it too.
Paige and AJ are just like,
she's such the wild card. I would love to see that happen.
In my mind, there's no way you can go wrong.
With
any of the
these
women
three?
in the match as champion. There's no possible way you could go wrong. What
I would love to see happen is Natalya wins it. Meanwhile, Paige and AJ are just like, what? They're just like, okay, we're not going to have it on. I know it would be okay if you had the title. It would be okay if I had the title. You know what? There's no way we're going to let someone from Total Divas have this title. They team back up again. They're friends again just to take on the Total Divas.
I would like that. But
that would be cool.
We all know who would actually win in that.
But you know what? Okay, that is
not necessarily.
That's a storyline idea that you have that could actually happen.
It could.
So I'm like, I'd be down for that. That's good. That's a good idea. Triple H, get on it.
You know, for as many crappy segments as there were on this Raw, we're coming out with a surprising amount of optimism here.
Because we're actually having better creative ideas than creative itself.
Or as Vince McMahon for 1 week.
Well, yeah. All right. What about the tag team titles? Turning dashingly gold heel.
I like the idea of turning them heel. The question is, okay, do you now have them finish the job and become the new tag team champions?
Yes.
You can't turn someone heel and then have them lose.
Yes.
At the next pay-per-view. So
I'm calling
it now.
I really hope that's the case, but I question WWE's logic.
What needs to happen is we need to have new tag team champions at Night of Champions.
We should have had new tag team champions months ago.
It's true, but if you're going to turn someone heel...
I agree.
it must happen at Night of Champions.
I 150% agree. The only real complaint about it, I love the idea of Goldust and Stardust heel. I just felt it was too abrupt and out of nowhere. I wouldn't expect that.
Yeah,
that's the only real complaint I had
could
about
have had
it.
some build up.
Exactly. There was, because everyone's loving this whole Goldust and Stardust backstage talk. They're so intrigued, and when they come out, they get huge pops. Hell, they got huge pops when they turned heel.
Yeah, I can see that the way they're going with this is, sure, it doesn't need much build. You don't always need much build up for a decent heel turn. Sometimes surprise heel turns are the best ones. I'm immediately thinking of how they turned Seth Rollins heel, split up the Shield. No one saw it coming. From what I keep reading, it seems like everyone thought that the one that turned heel would be Dean Ambrose.
I didn't.
This thing.
I did. I actually thought it was going to be Seth Rollins in the end.
Okay, well,
because he was the least likely. Because because he's full of his. He's so athletic, and he's just so over. Other than Roman Reigns. Well, they really all of them were. I just saw him more as the package to be the authority guy.
Yeah, again, I didn't even see that any sort of turn was even coming.
Oh.
Or at least maybe I was just in denial, as I'm sure a lot of people were. But really, this was, as far as a heel turn, I thought it was fine. Again, it was relatively abrupt, but you know what? We've had the super reign of the Usos for a while now. They're basically turning into double Samoan John Cena's at this point. We need fresh blood in the tag division. And I'm not sure if you picked up on this too, but it seems like Stardust alone has sort of lost momentum a little bit.
They both really have.
Yeah, but more so with Stardust since his character is a lot more...
new.
I don't want to say a lot more fresher but that's what I'm going to say anyway.
I actually do agree. I think that's a good choice for it. Fresher.
Yeah, I know, but I said more fresher, and I'm pretty sure that's grammatically incorrect. So that's why I was holding off. Yeah, Stardust, glitter. But yeah, and like I mentioned to you before, you cannot tell me that the likes of Goldust and Cody Rhodes in Maximum Stardust mode cannot cut some really wicked heel promos.
Oh, they can.
I could, but you
can't tell me.
Think
that.
about
I could, but I'd be
heel run
totally
in the
wrong.
90s.
Exactly.
Exactly. I'm looking forward to it.
Goldust, and of course, Cody had a star-making turn as a heel as it is, with the whole mask thing going on. That was great.
Well,
they can be good.
Yeah.
This can be good.
Oh, I agree. It can be good. It was just I didn't like that it was so abrupt. That's it. I am very invested on seeing what they can do.
Well, again, given the rest of the way this night went, I didn't count this as a loss at all.
I like it. I'm gonna wait for the build-up to give my full.
Yeah, hopefully it will lead to something. Hopefully it would lead to some gold in the future for Dashingly Gold.
Puns.
Puns.
Aha, knee slapper. All right, now let's talk about the one we've been really grieving for this entire night. They've been building it up the whole night. John Cena versus Bray Wyatt.
And break out the shovels.
Break out the shovels and bury them 10 feet deep.
It literally, like, in some ways I understand what they were going for. It's like, oh, it's John Cena, he's angry and building momentum back. But really, from what I've read, the original plan was for Bray Wyatt to go after Big Show and start a whole feud with Big Show, show dominant, to help rebuild his status as a main eventer. Instead, Vince McMahon, a few hours before the show starts, changes everything. So Cena basically gets fed the Wyatt family. Everything about this match was wrong. It was just wrong on so many levels. With what they've been building for, like Cena's angry, yes. He's going to take his frustrations out, yes. But they've also been building that Bray Wyatt has been saying that Cena is a shell of a man with how the beating he took from Brock Lesnar affected him. What they did was prove Bray Wyatt 100% wrong by not having little to no offense in this beatdown, this... I don't even want to say burial, because we all know Bray Wyatt can bounce back from this, but he has to bounce really high
anyone. Okay, first. I think we need to define our terms real quick here. Anyone, as far as, and again, I'm sure you've seen it too. I think we all have. That the internet as a whole is really, really quick to say, as soon as someone has a loss, they're like, "Oh, he's getting buried," or second he looks bad in an interview, it's like, "Oh, he's getting buried." No, this one guy completely butt blasting Bray Wyatt this badly. Of course, we all know why it did it. We know why they did it this way, but just getting thrown around like a ragdoll, not getting barely any offense in at all. That was just bad. Especially how they made him look before, or if they're trying to sell him as this like crazy supernatural redneck preacher bayou guy. It just brought all his momentum to a dead stop right as he was going to pick it back up again with Chris Jericho. Again, I understand what they were trying to do with Cena, but this was pretty much the worst way to go about it. You do not do this. You don't pull something like this when you're also trying to simultaneously build up a big name like Bray Wyatt. I don't want to say a future main eventer because he's main eventing now, but someone who could possibly be a Hall of Fame level legend down the road, and you're completely stopping him in his tracks. That is a burial.
The reason that this happened for John Cena to completely annihilate the Wyatt, they say Vince McMahon's reason is so his fans don't lose faith in him.
Oh, I know the reasoning. I know why they did it.
That is the most ridiculous reason to do this. The man is a 15-time world champion. He has been through this whole overcoming the odds for over 10 years. I think it's even more now.
So his character had a bad night.
Exactly. Yeah. Did it hurt does it affect his entire career? Does it make it like, oh, was that whole career for nothing? No. It isn't. It's just Vince McMahon wanting to make sure his number one guy feels better.
What I said earlier about everything, all the goodwill they had built up from SummerSlam, the week before and the week after being totally gone, that was basically this segment right here. After the goodwill that they had built up from SummerSlam the week before and the week after, all of that in one 15-minute segment is now gone. Because everything that Bray Wyatt did with Chris Jericho at SummerSlam is... You make Chris Jericho look bad now. Because he lost to this guy who just got thrown around the ring for 15 minutes by John Cena. And you make Chris Jericho look bad. You make a guy who you're building up look horrible. Horrible. And it's horrible job by WWE booking. This could possibly be the most offensive thing that I've seen the WWE booking team do in a very long time. Because in my head, okay, it's gonna take a lot. Chris Jericho can't come back and take a loss and everything be perfectly fine again for the Wyatt family now. They're gonna need some big doings to get back to where they were, because this okay, that you didn't just make Bray Wyatt look bad, you made everybody in the Wyatt family look horrible.
And by that, because when Luke Harper and Eric Rowan came in to actually end the match, so we wouldn't at least have a clean victory, out comes the Usos plus 300 pounds each with Big Show and Mark Henry.
Yeah. That was the greatest comment I heard. It was like when they came out, I was like, wow, the Usos got fat.
And it changes into a 6-man tag where John Cena, well, it wasn't as even. It was still more dominant towards the faces. I can't even call them faces because everyone was really going for the Wyatts on this one, because we're like, really? You're really going to treat the Wyatts like this? And, of course, John Cena puts Luke Harper in the STF, ends the match. Eric Rowan comes in, attitude adjustment. Luke Harper, attitude adjustment. Big Show and Mark Henry grab Bray Wyatt and throw him in the ring so he can get an attitude adjustment. and it just leaves us with sour tastes in our mouth.
And by ours, I mean pretty much the entire internet wrestling community and the wrestling fans at large. I don't want to say never, but it must have been a long time since I've seen one segment get so universally panned so hard. Just because at that point, no one cares about, like you said, John Cena being safe or on his way back. No one cares about that anymore just because Bray Wyatt just got banged up so hard. I mean, let's face it, Bray Wyatt's over. I do not understand. I understand why they wanted to keep Cena strong and why they wanted to do that kind of thing. But I do not see any real good reason why it had to be Bray Wyatt in that slot. Bray Wyatt's
take
over.
3 randos.
Again, it wasn't even just the fact they got beat up. He didn't get his entrance music. He just got derped into the arena. No lights, no anything.
I'm sorry.
Well, he did get derped.
He did. It's just how you said it was just
Bray Wyatt got derped in more ways than one.
Bray Wyatt got derped.
And that was not
the entire segment. Bray Wyatt got derped.
The entire segment, the whole Wyatt family got derped.
And if you notice the look on Bray's face, he wasn't even dancing or anything. He was just sort of had this expression on his face that's like, all right, whatever, let's just get this thing over with. I'll do the job, whatever.
I don't know how, the only way I can see it coming out is they go their original plan and have the Wyatt families take out Big Show. And continue what they were supposed to do this week. But
Wyatt family, stay away from John Cena, please.
Yes, please.
What is they gonna do for 3 more weeks now? This whole build is just now completely worthless. They could at least had what Bray Wyatt's saying was kind of true.
John Cena's build is done.
However,
it's built, yet they still have 3 more weeks to build the damn match. It's
we
ridiculous.
don't know what they're going to do. I'll tell you, but again, Cena's there, Cena's done. We all know whatever. However, the one good thing I can say about this is, in those 3 weeks, they can build Bray Wyatt back up.
I agree.
Bray Wyatt is at least, he may have his shortcomings. We can criticize his ability and his promo skills all day. One good thing we can definitely say is that Bray Wyatt, at the very least, is very self-aware. If he's aware of the situation, how he's being perceived, he can bounce his way back. He can talk his way back. He can mix it up a little bit and say, okay, I'm glad you finally you finally released the monster, released the hate, better late than never, blah, blah, blah. I'm proud of you, John. Now I gotta chop down some giants. I don't know. I just came up with that in 5 seconds.
It's just
so something like that. You get what I mean.
So if he could come up with that in 5 seconds, it's probably already on Bray Wyatt's. It's probably already written down.
To figure this
I just
out.
hope they really just focus only on the Big Show and they just move Mark Henry back to this whole thing with Rusev, because they kind of closed that whole Jack Swagger Rusev feud too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I liked the fact that they had Mark Henry go after Rusev, being a former silver medal Olympian.
Yeah,
it makes sense for Rusev to go.
It's a good story idea. It is.
This whole storyline was just so worthless because really, it just made the Big Show and Mark Henry look more like another one of John Cena's lackeys.
Yeah, John Cena was really the only person who came out of this whole thing smelling like a rose. And I think that's what they were going for. But again,
he doesn't.
It's not a matter of what they were going for. We all know what they were going for. It's obvious.
Didn't work.
Exactly. It just did not work, and it ultimately just did more harm than good.
All right, now with that out of the way, I am now. Hold on, I'm pulling out my handy dandy notebook here. And I am officially, because we've been really messing around with this rating system, I'm going to give the official Scholars of Wrestling facial hair rating system. Revised, thank you. With 0 is clean shaven.
All right, finally.
1 star, 5 o'clock shadow. 2 stars, peach fuzz. 3 stars, classic goatee. 4 stars, full beard. And 5 stars, goat face. That's the new official rating system. There you go. No more arguing it. No Ned Starks. No decapitated heads.
Hey, Ned Stark was a good idea. Okay, it was. For a show that was nothing. You're nothing without your head. Okay?
You had your Ned Starks, I had my goats.
Yes.
Okay. So
now we got the madness.
Well, I can tell you this: the goats are in the barn for this one.
So now, here's my question to you, gentlemen. What's your rating for this Raw? It's going to be a very hard one.
For me. Okay.
No, not really.
Not for me. You know
what?
I will be perfectly honest. Okay, most of the wrestling itself was pretty good. Most of the wrestling, with a very obvious exception.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the storyline build-up, I am gonna give it a very low peach fuzz, just because I liked most of the actual wrestling, the matches themselves. Storylines, not really, and there were some that were just god awful, but not enough for me to give it a 5 o'clock shadow or a clean shave. I'm gonna give it a very low peach fuzz.
I'll tell you what, this was not a good Raw. We've had good Raws, we've got bad Raws. This is definitely a bad Raw. Again, you mentioned, there was plenty of good wrestling, plenty of good, decent reasons to tune into Raw. It's certainly not the worst Raw I've ever seen, but still. Again, especially how it ended, it left me with such a really, really poor taste in my mouth that even though the concept or the content there wasn't bad as far as wrestling goes, it was just going in a really, really depressing direction that I just didn't like and lost a lot of points for me in that. So I gotta go with 1 out of 5 stars, 5 o'clock shadow. It's debuting, whatever. It's a Raw. It'll get better next week.
It's debuting. I like that. It's debuting.
Well, it is.
Oh, jeez.
We're going to have to get used to it, so I'm just going to repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. Hopefully not week after week.
Don't do that, because then every show would suck.
Yeah, right?
That would be bad. Well, to be fair, I also haven't seen SmackDown yet this week, so who knows how that went. Internet?
Well, for me, this is going to be a very hard one, because I had to rewatch Raw before we started recording.
What a sad experience that must have been.
It was honestly, it was worse the second time. It really was.
You already knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. So and the wrestling, although good, minus the Cena beatdown, and I could also include the Kofi Kingston Bo Dallas match. That was one of the sloppiest Kofi Kingston matches I've ever seen.
The Botch King has returned.
It really was like, oh my god! I thought he went past this.
Kofi Kingston has returned to his rightful place as the Botch King.
Since Sin Cara is gone, he took his crown back as Mr. Botchamania.
Oh dear. Oh, dear.
But really, the wrestling, although good because it normally is very good for Raw standards, it couldn't save it for me. It was the eulogy saved it for me. Well, not really saved it, but left a good point. I'm also going to go 1 star, 5 o'clock shadow. Very much borderline clean shaven. I was really close to really giving the middle finger to WWE because of this Raw, with how much almost everything was a fail.
Yeah, for me, okay, good wrestling will usually trump all. Okay, but there were some things on this Raw, like before the Bray Wyatt segment, I was seriously thinking about giving it a classic OT. I will be completely serious because
I can see that.
Good wrestling for me trumps overall. Sure, there were some really awkward storyline developments in the beginning and the middle. Okay, but that Bray Wyatt thing, that whole last segment just dropped it for me. And it dropped it from its classic OT to, I couldn't drop it all the way down to a 5 o'clock shadow because of the fact that I know that Bray Wyatt can build himself back up. This is not the end for Bray Wyatt.
No, of course not.
If I thought it was the end, that would have dropped it all the way down to clean shave. Done.
Right.
Yeah,
Done.
no, I agree.
It's over.
And that's
I am
really the
100%.
one big saving grace I can really take away from this, because from what we've seen, we can see how someone like Bray Wyatt can bounce back. He can just mix it up, get creative, do any sort of thing that he wants to have a feud with Guy Q down on the roster. Maybe it will be Big Show, and again, maybe he's so pissed off now that maybe the next thing to do is to
Chop down a giant.
Exactly.
Take down a 7 feet tall, 500-pound man, and boom, back on the radar. However, the way they went about starting this potential thing was very bad, very wrong. It didn't go the way that the WWE wanted it to, but it's not enough for me to drop it down 2 stars.
It wasn't bad or wrong. It was badong.
It was badong, yes.
Badong.
And it's not enough to drop it down
Bray
to a
Wyatt
5 o'clock
is
shadow.
badong.
But the peach fuzz is in business, and
Right.
that's still not good.
All right. All right. Now we want to know what you thought of Monday Night Raw.
Even though
were you as angry as we are? Most likely.
Yep.
Or do you think we're crazy? Not likely.
You'll always have those few.
Exception proves the rule.
Leave a comment below, and if you like listening to the Scholars of Wrestling, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to find us on Facebook, like us there, follow us on Twitter, and WWE, really, you got a lot to do to get back on our good graces.
Do better, man.
Get together.
We are the Scholars of Wrestling, and you have just been schooled.
You're welcome.
They really have to do a lot to save.
That's why I
get
watch
back on our good team.
NXT.
Let's watch Raw again. No!